All right, so basically with me, because I saw the previous Justice League once, right? I was trying, like, I really wanted to watch the previous version so I could kind of compare it with this one, but life just got in the way, right? So I decided in this case, let me just at least try to view it from the perspective of, oh, this movie just came out right after BVS, so I'm in theaters, I'm watching the film for the first time ever. Josh Whedon wasn't involved at all. Let me see how things play out, right? So I will get to my overall thoughts of the film afterwards, right? But basically, it opens with a prologue, which starts basically with Superman, the moment where he gets stabbed by what's his
Yeah,
name, Doomsday, right?
Doomsday.
And I
Right.
actually like how, in terms of like the opening of the film, right? How when he's screaming, yes, I mean it opens with quite a gruesome image. I like the fact that he's sending out shockwaves as he's screaming, right? And
Yeah.
you're just seeing those shockwaves literally resonate throughout like the areas where most of the areas basically where the movie is based in, right? So that would be Themyscira, that would be Atlantis, Gotham, where Cyborg is. For some odd reason, it doesn't go into Central City, okay, but whatever. Um, and you also see like other people's reactions. So you see how Batman's viewing it, how Wonder Woman's viewing it, how Cyborg. Well, how you see Cyborg in the Mother Box and Themyscira and all that stuff. So I really really dug that, right? I actually dug how it ties into where you see Bruce Wayne on horseback in Iceland, where he's about to where he's looking for Aquaman, right? So then we get to part one, don't counter the Batman, right? So that's how they do it with this film. They kind of quote lines or I guess themes or just terms that show up like in the specific parts. It's like, okay, this
Right.
is this is interesting, this is interesting, right? Um, I believe that the convo between Bruce and Arthur, aka Aquaman, was stretched out a little bit. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe
No,
it's the
I think
same
it
thing.
was.
It
Right,
was.
right, okay. And I actually like how it plays out a little bit more. You know what I mean? Especially with him, especially Bruce pulling on the money and all that kind of stuff, right? So that was cool. The reveal of Wonder Woman. Here's the thing, right? It's very, very, very Christopher Nolan Dark Knight inspired, right? It's very much like how that movie opened, The Dark Knight opens with a robbery, right? You know what I mean? With a daylight robbery. But in this case, as you remember, it's in London, I believe it is, or maybe it's some other
Well,
European.
let's not forget. Nolan is one of the executive producers, so I'm
Yes.
Yes,
sure.
yes,
No,
yes,
I'm
yes.
sure notes were
There's
shared.
a
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
there's a
yeah,
whole other
Think part-
conversation we could have about how Nolan has changed comic book movies and why everybody wants to go down that
Uh,
road, but that's
yeah,
another
yeah.
conversation.
No,
I,
that's
I,
all.
yeah.
He was.
I get into the statement I call Nolan the lost leader of toxicity now because like
Hmm.
as a filmmaker, I like him. I like his material. I give Tenet. I dying on the hill of Tenet. I give
Yeah.
Tenet my number two last year, but like the people who follow him and that paradigm like totally don't get why his films work and they just
Yeah.
copy it and they we call it cargo cult him now in the worst ways. So yeah.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
unfortunate though. Yeah, yeah.
It's a.
But yeah, but basically, because I don't remember. I believe this was clearly stretched out from what we saw in the Judge Whedon cut, right? But
Oh,
here it's played even more intense. It's these guys who basically breaking into this place, taking some people hostage, and they have a bomb.
Right.
But the thing that at first, right, it kind of stood out like a sore thumb for me. But throughout the course, it shows like, okay, I see what they're trying to do here, right? Is the color grading. Because yeah, you know what I
Right.
mean, from the bright colors that we got from the Josh Whedon here it looks more desaturated. So just that establishes shot of Diana on top of the the large justice figure basically. Yeah, like the colors look way more saturated here. So I'm like, all right, well, this is clearly trying to keep with a tone which I felt for the most part was consistent, right? Just it's way less noticeable in the later scenes, but here, especially this one shot, I was like, yeah, boy, like you're really trying to scrub away what Josh did. Do you know what I mean?
mhm.
Um, I while I do appreciate the intensity of the moment, like this is before Wonder Woman comes in and kicks ass and all that kind of stuff, right? It still kind of felt like, okay, well, one thing, it's not the Josh Whedon version. You know what I mean? We're gonna go dark here, not too dark, of course, right? And the guy who was basically the ringleader of this thing, I know I saw his face somewhere, but for
Yeah,
the
the
life of me, I
actor.
just
I
can't pick
know
up
the
a
actor as well from other projects.
yeah,
I
yeah,
just
yeah.
don't remember his name.
Yeah, but I was like, all right, I'll work with it. Okay, it's not what I would expect from a Wonder Woman scene, but this is once again Zack Snyder's Justice League. So okay, and then Wonder Woman does her thing though, and I felt like when she's moving, especially when she's deflecting the bullets, like it just looked a little wonky though. Like it felt literally like they just kind of sped up her movement.
I
So it
was
looks
about to say
really
those
off.
It was
exact
double
words.
sped. Yeah.
It was sped
Yeah.
up. Yeah, it was
Right.
sped
So
up.
Yeah.
I don't
And I
remember.
just felt like it just looked like unintentionally hokey. Just like, all right, it felt like you literally was watching a CW show there, Fab. It's like, whoa, what going on here? And Junkie XL, who had to make a new score for this, had to redo the Hans Zimmer, the triumphant score from the from BBS now, right? The
Right.
Wonder Woman team that we love. Yeah. So I dug that he put it in. But when you're hearing that, you want to see something real spectacular now, you know what I mean? Not her spinning while she's like, stooped down and it looks all weird and stuff like that. Like it was just weird, you know what I mean? Just a one shot, you know.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate it as a music, the sort of lamentation choral music that he puts in.
The
So it's very
Amazonian
very
lamentation.
Xena inspired. That hey, you know what I mean? Like I was like, okay, all right, Junkie, do anything, yeah.
Like
Sirens.
Quick
Yeah.
question. Did in the Whedon cut? Did she kill that guy? I kind of remember.
I
No.
don't think so. Now,
No.
I was gonna talk about that when I get to it as
Right.
well. But
Well, mention no.
as we
Can we
open that,
just kind of
yeah.
go into?
But she
Yeah.
straight up
Okay.
blow the Reddit hat off the man head, right? I mean, yeah, the man just get maladied out of existence. Though. Like,
The entire brutality of that scene caught me off guard, but I
Yeah.
should have expected it considering it's Snyder. Because
And rated R.
again, we come back to Wonder Woman in the comics would not kill humans,
Right.
she
Uh-huh.
so I don't know. I like this scene. I like certain aspects of it, but the brutality of it, I was cringing a bit just
Oh,
because
yeah.
of which character it was doing that,
Yeah.
But
Well, I think it was a
But in-
couple. It was a couple months ago when they revealed the first draft of the iconic picture from Wonder Woman of her with the team from the movie.
Yeah.
But there was a first draft that like Snyder himself had come up with for
I know what you're talking
BBS,
about. Yeah.
and it showed her holding a severed head because
No, it
because
was a
again-
bunch. It was a bunch of skulls, a bunch of severed heads.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
Because
Yeah,
this
I
is
remember that.
Conan, Red Sonya, sorry, inspired. Okay.
I
Yeah,
will
that
say
weird.
I avoided a lot of the Snyder promo stuff, guys.
Right,
I
right.
maybe
Couldn't
watched one
avoid it.
trailer, so I really didn't see a lot of the promo stuff.
Oh.
Okay.
In the Joss Whedon one, all I did was after she says "I'm a believer," which made no sense at all. Why would she say this? She does the bracelet thing, and it just flashes, so you don't get to see like the explosion of the building or anything like that. But the trailer for in 2017, one of the trailers that they had, or TV spots or something, had actually shown the outside of the building being exploded. So
Right.
I guess now that he came back, you actually got to see what really happened, because Joss really just cut it, and Danny Elfman's score just kind of ended it there with the bracelet clanging, and there's a flash of light and cut to the next scene.
Well, and I will not to make everyone think I'm completely negative. I will say one of the big advantages of the Snyder cut is the action scenes look so much better now.
Right.
Like
right.
because the big problem with the Whedon one is because they're trying to cut out the violence, and because they're trying to make it happy, and because they're reshooting some of these scenes, and because they're rushing to meet a deadline, the Whedon action scenes tended to look choppy as hell. Like they're choppy.
yeah.
The
Oh,
color
yeah.
grade.
Like they just slice it.
They're spliced. Yeah, exactly. They're spliced. They're choppy. They're some of the visual coherency and the sense of geography are completely out of whack. So finally getting to see them in their full form, even if a lot of them go on too long, and there's a lot of slow mo. And I don't mind slow mo. I'm a big John Woo fan, but like I feel like Snyder goes a little.
Hell yeah, same here.
Listen,
Yep,
is the
yep,
only
yep.
reason is the only reason it's 4 hours, you know.
I see what you did there.
Play all the slow mo at regular speed. It's 3 hours. But no, it's like. But like I will also. I do like how we're avoiding the elephant in the room. The aspect ratio.
Oh,
I didn't have a problem with it though.
I didn't
I
have a
ignored
problem.
that.
I was fine. I was
Right,
like, yes.
It's meant to look basically like you're watching this on IMAX now.
Yes.
And as a creative decision, I like it. I have absolutely no problem with it. It makes it distinct.
Agree.
It makes it gives the film, a even more of a cinematic feel, if you will, right? In my
Same.
opinion.
I actually at first when it first started, I was like, what is going on here? And then as I kept going along, I'm like, you know what? I am digging this. I don't have an issue with this. So
I
yeah.
had a
I,
I had a friend of
At
mine. I
first, I
had a
thought
friend
I
of
had the
mine.
wrong thing.
Yeah,
What,
this
what,
is
what,
it.
what,
This is it. No, no. What Alice was saying about having the wrong thing, because I had a friend of mine who in the office, she was looking at it and she's like, "Is this correct? Is this supposed?" I was like, because then I started to realize that even the trailers that he had wasn't
Mhm.
that
yeah, yeah, that
4.3.
scene four,
That
train
It
was
four,
when
yeah.
the
was like
conversation
that.
started.
Right.
So I was like, no, that is correct. I mean, and
Please,
even
please
HBO
do not.
has that screen at the front of it saying it's going to be
Mhm.
4.3. I was good. I was good.
Please do not adjust your screen. The black bars on either side of the image are completely normal.
All right, but just one last thing I just want to mention about that Wonder Woman action sequence, right? There's a moment where the leader activates the bomb and he says, "Down with the modern world, back to
Right.
the dark ages." And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, is this going to lead to Steppenwolf or something or Dark Side? But it
Ah.
never comes back up to, which I felt was
Right.
was a missed opportunity. To like, I felt they really could have tied that scene because you don't want to just have a random action scene just for the sake of.
For me, it wasn't. It didn't feel random because this is something that happens in the world of superheroes. You know, they each have their own cities. They're each dealing with bank robberies, and somebody still stole an old lady's purse, and just these little random things that happen outside of the main big bad event that's gonna take place. So, I didn't have an issue with that. You know, as you said, they're a bunch of terrorists. They have their reasons for doing what they're doing, and yeah, that's it. It didn't have to tie back into
Yeah.
Dark Seed or Dark Side, however you want to say his name, for me, for it to work. You know, it works for me.
All right, so after the Wonder Woman's introduction and stuff like that, we get some Themyscira scenes. So we see Queen Hippolyta in it. Steppenwolf shows up, and we get a longer battle scene, I believe, with between
Lord.
the Amazons
which
and the
which
Parademons.
I loved.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
Yes.
I really,
I'm
really,
giving it
really
a 10
dug.
out of 10 on those scenes.
Yeah.
Yes.
For one thing, I really dug the action scenes themselves. There's some spotty VFX shots here or there. Like you could tell that they in front of a green or a blue screen though. Like there's one shot of one Amazon riding, and it just looks so painfully fake. You know
Yeah,
what I
it
mean?
looked yeah.
Steppenwolf. I really dug like the new look on him. I like
Yeah.
that the
I like the
suit.
armor.
Yeah, the armor, sorry, you know what I mean? Seems like it has a life of its own.
Mm-hmm.
The voice, I'm not really like digging at all. Like it's very generic alien bad guy voice, like we must get the mother boxes, blah 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 blah. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I really do like the suits though.
Yeah.
The suit, sorry, and I actually like the whole idea of Hippolyta saying that the warning fires must be lit. You know what I mean? Like the world must know that Steppenwolf is coming, right? Um, Apparently they have been lit for 1,000 years, but I like where Hippolytus what one of the Amazons say basically men won't understand, but I like where Hippolytus says men won't, she will. And it
Yeah.
Right.
just cuts the black. I was like, yeah, I dig that. That's like a great way to
Well,
end this part, you know what I mean?
I
I don't
remember
know. Yeah.
that being in the other
But
Justice League
it was
movies as
yes. I
well.
remember.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay, okay,
Yeah, it
okay.
was. Yeah, because
Well,
I
once
was
again,
actually speaking
treating it
along with
as
those
if
lines there.
treating it as if I'm seeing this for the first time because time,
Gotcha.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so part two, we have the Age of Heroes, right? Great title, and it's basically what we know before with Steppenwolf showing up in Slokovia, haha, right? With the parademons and the mother box, and setting up shop, and the whole plan is to find the other two mother boxes, right? We get that moment with the parademon showing up in Star Labs, killing the guy, all that stuff.
Without
I
setting
don't,
off any alarms.
I know,
Yeah. Star
yeah.
Lab.
No,
Okay.
no alarms, no alarms.
No alarm.
Um, I don't
None.
think, yeah, I don't think this was in the original cut though, but we get a really cool pseudo Lord of the Rings X kind of scene where Hippolyta orders the Arrow of Artemis to be shot in the World of Men, basically
Right.
for her daughter Diana to find, right? I really dug the music for this, the visuals, just the shot of the arrow. The only thing was missing was just that, from the Lord of the Rings moment where the fire's lit, you just seen it in different mountains in different regions. Like that was missing. But essentially, it's just the arrow just going into what's called the Shrine of the Amazons, right? On the Isle of Crete, right? Which is cool. I really dug that. Very epic, fancy style kind of thing, right? Diana conveniently finds out about it through the news.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, this was in the last film because the first 2 hours,
Yeah,
the first 2 hours is really similar to the theatrical cut.
Theatrical. Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot overlap.
Right.
There is, but it also, I feel like it tightens it a little bit up now. So like in the 2017 version where she just takes the arrow and she says, bring my daughter back to me, or let my daughter hear it, or something like that. There's no understanding that it's Artemis's arrow, that this is an arrow from the gods. You've been using the same arrows, fighting Steppenwolf and everybody else, and the arrows are failing, but this arrow apparently is special. So now with this, I get to understand who it was. I even get to understand, like, Steppenwolf, why he went to Russia as opposed to just, I'm going to Russia to, whatever.
Talk about that. I did
we're clear,
appreciate that being very clear on the reasons behind certain things. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. I also like the scene where Diana uses the arrow to open up this chamber in the shrine, and she sees all these she sees this wall painting of Darkseid, like we saw it in the trailer and whatnot, right? And see how shook, it leaves her. I legit forgot which character Willem Dafoe was in DCU. But I was like, oh yeah, he's from Aquaman. Right.
Volko, beloved Volko, everyone's favorite.
I forgot.
This confused me because I don't know. Okay, so I don't know if it's the case. But at the time when it was announced that he would be in the movie, I was like, all right, but who is he playing? Because if you go in IMDb, he's blank for some reason. So it's like, is that a big secret? He's playing a different person. I already watched Aquaman. I know who he is. Like, it's kind of weird now. So I thought he was playing somebody else, so they get him to play something else now. For a second there now. I'm like, okay, in this, sorry.
Right. Yeah. But I do like the fact that he's in this film. I don't think that he wasn't in the original cut, right? But yeah,
right.
I do like that he's here and he's talking to Arthur, like, you abandoned us, and you were supposed to claim the throne, and Aquaman's like, I don't want anything to do with y'all and all that kind of stuff. I like that.
That scene made it very clear to me. Sorry, why the WB has said this movie is not canon though. Because it completely rewrites what happens in James Wan's Aquaman in terms of finding the throne and all of that, and basically earning the right to carry the scepter, as opposed to just having it there in the bottom of the ocean where anybody could just pick it up and go with it. Which doesn't make any sense, that it would something that powerful would not be protected, kind of thing. It would just be, hey, you could have this because of her son.
And I still think it's a mistake having a Justice League movie after the Aquaman movie. Like it's a
no. Aquaman came after, No, Aquaman is 2018.
No, but that's what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm trying to say. It's annoying that there's a Justice League movie before an Aquaman movie. That's stupid. It should have had it. Should have been the other way.
Right.
This is one of these nitpicky world building things that I had a problem, because to me it could have made a Justice League movie way better with all Aquaman's forces involved. Like, holy shit, what the hell?
And in retrospect, right? Like, right after BVS, we had the Wonder Woman movie. So, why not have the Aquaman movie? And you still have your Justice League movie to establish Cyborg and Flash, right?
And it would have given Snyder time to do this kind of thing,
And I look, all of this is money quarterbacking, but I just think all of the world building is wonky and back to front and upside down, right? It's just a stuff, like, all the decisions that was made is nonsense. All of this Darkseid stuff not supposed to be happening so soon. In my opinion, like, whatever. Again, the dream was, if Dwayne McDuffie was alive, to make this world building work a little better and build a little better, we could get something more interesting. But having Darkseid so early, or even just Steppenwolf, any Apocalypse stuff was a bad move. The one thing I would have done with something like this is that you introduce the Mother Box. That's it, right?
Yeah.
You have Mother Box in your first big Justice League movie, and then the Mother Box is the reason why. What? Sorry.
No, I'm saying like take your time, pace this stuff
out.
Exactly.
Yeah, so you're introducing Mother Box as a thing, and then Darkseid and company be like, hey, you have a Mother Box on Earth, right? Like, do that. But they decide to make the Mother Boxes the central conceit of the storyline. Right. Why? It's not mother boxes. Here's another thing annoying. Mother boxes are pretty dime a dozen in the DC universe. There are a ton of mother boxes. They're making the mother boxes out as if they're the Infinity Gems now. Like, mother boxes pretty. Like, you don't need to make them such a big deal now. Whatever.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's just me. That's just me just watching this complete squandered opportunity of this whole enterprise. Whatever.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
Well,
So
while we are on the subject of the Aquaman scene, I would like to talk about how I really don't like Aquaman in this movie. Like,
Right.
here's the thing. One of the things I really loved about James Wan's Aquaman, which is still one of my favorite DC movies, like period. Like that movie,
Yes,
that movie slaps so
absolutely.
hard. One of the things I love about him is that he makes us kind of fall in love with the character of Aquaman. One of the few criticisms that against the movie is that he feels a little bit like he's kind of has this kind of like bro energy to him.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Right. He's a himbo.
He kind of goes through the film like looking at all this stuff with this idea of like, isn't this all a little bit ridiculous? But what I like about that is I don't think it's as bad as people say, A. And B, by the end of the movie, he has embraced this world, and so he stops doing that kind of thing. But what I hate about the Snyder Cut is that he's just Khal Drago. Like, he's just big, broody barbarian who grunts and occasionally has one-liners and says, like, again, super gritty Snyder posturing, moody dialogue. Like, it's like... None of the charisma, none of the charm, none of the humor. The humor.
Did they cut out the lasso scene in this, right?
Yes,
right.
And
that was one of the better moments in the Whedon cut.
Yes.
And like none, like one of the big, and we'll get to this when we get to Flash, but I feel like one of the big issues we have is that everyone's sense of humor, except for like one Batman line that was funny, everyone's sense of humor in this has been surgically removed. So the Flash is left as the sole comic. He's the only character with any kind of comedy, so he's he becomes the comic relief because nobody is allowed to make jokes because death face the whole time.
And that's another thing. They're acting as if people acting as if, Flash's arc is so much better and he's so much serious. It's like, no, there's most of the jokes there. Most of the jokes are still there. They're missing a bunch of like good lines involving Flash, like the little moment with Flash and Batman. The save one line. That's gone. I hate that. And then another moment with Batman, which is the world needs Superman, the team needs Clark. That's gone. I was like, I like that kind of stuff. Why? Whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, just to close off part 2, right? We actually get this Darkseid exposition done because yes, Darkseid is the Thanos in this DCEU, right? And we get like a really really dope I believe is an extension of what we saw in the theatrical cut, right? And this really really dope battle scene between Darkseid forces and this alliance, right? So it's Zeus and the gods, is the Atlanteans, is the Amazons and men,
we
right?
saw that last time. Yeah.
Right, and we have this one Green Lantern guy, right? But yeah, I think that just seeing the full scene play out though was amazing. I really really dug the music for this in particular. Zeus get to do this lightning sonic boom kind of thing, which is really cool. Darkseid like an axe his shoulder. I was like, what? I like all this though. It's a great.
It has big, like intro to Lord of the Rings energy to it.
Right.
And I feel
it does, and it's very intentional. Even right down to, now this box goes to men, and this box goes to the Amazons. It's very, very, very Lord of the Rings inspired. I know.
There's a couple moments throughout the whole film where I definitely get the vibe that I'm like, okay, this feels like Zack Snyder either telling us how much he loves Lord of the Rings or telling us how much he would love to do a high fantasy movie, which given his recent comments that he would love to do a King Arthur adaptation, we don't know.
Well, we already had Guy Ritchie's own, right?
No. Oh God. No.
I kind of like the Tudak because of this how dumb and over the top it is, and that song that plays, but that.
Oh God. No, the only.
I like the Richieisms of it, with it, but the CGI stuff. I mean, it was so dark you could barely see what was going on.
The only King Arthur movies we need are Romero's film Knight Riders from 1981, the Jerry Bruckheimer action film, the musical, and Excalibur. We don't need anything else.
Yeah, I'm a kind of pass to the Bruckheimer, but the others you mentioned, yeah. All right, so part 3 now, beloved mother, beloved son.
That's my
Finally we
favorite
get
chapter.
into Central City, right? Points for the reduced speed ahead sign, meaning the established shot. I was like, that's funny, right? I actually like from a visual perspective the idea of how time just literally slows down and we see things from Barry Allen's perspective now, from the dog barking when he's going over to the dog daycare center place to
Yeah.
Iris exiting the same place, right? um
Also,
I
it was
was
Iris.
Yeah,
it
that was
was
Yes,
Iris. Yeah,
it's supposed to be Iris here.
it's
She
right.
was
supposed to
from
be Iris.
Dope, I
Yeah.
think. She was from
Yes,
Dope. Yeah,
yes,
right.
I believe
Okay,
so. Yeah.
because I haven't seen Dope, I wasn't familiar with who she is, right? Now,
Mm-hmm.
I actually at first I was like, like overall, like I actually was thinking, I imagine other people that we would get to see more of her. But I was like, okay, no, it's one of those kind of what could have been a chance encounter, and something happens, and oh, we may see her again, and she's not really the point of the film anyway. So I was like, I could let that slide though. Now, I may say something very controversial here, but this is just my opinion. I think that his moment with him saving Iris from getting hit by that truck
Is the
will
latest?
go down as one of the best speedster
Ah, yeah.
scenes
Ooh.
Yes, I will go with Matthew
ever
on this one.
It's a
put
music
on screen.
video.
I
It's
will
a
go with
music
Matthew
video.
on this
Yeah.
one.
No, listen to it.
Please.
It's no Quicksilver, these are feature pass thing. No, it's not that. The song for that scene is way better. Like, if it's one major gripe I have with this show is that I felt that the music choices kind of just
Oh,
didn't
don't even talk to me about the
like
needle drops
right.
in this.
So like this song that plays here during that moment, I was like, yeah, no, and it's not really like, well, admittedly, I don't know the song, but it's not like a Billboard hit like what we got with These Are Future Past, right? But from a visual standpoint, though, just everything in this thing works. Even right down to that him grabbing that hot dog sausage, from the
That
side of
was
a
really
can
fucking good.
with it away. Like just those little moments, I was like, I am
Yeah.
loving this too. What
Okay,
really
I'll tell you.
brought it
I'll
down?
tell you
Just
something.
by a notch. Just
Sure.
what
I
really
love
brought
it.
stuff from her by a notch was just that music. Yeah, I just like it just really felt like it just could have been any other song, right? So
Yeah.
I just seen this one time. Expect this scene to show up on YouTube very, very, very soon. So yeah, Summer disagree with me. Tell me how wrong I
Well,
am.
here's the thing. I like this. I like the visuals of what his speed looks like. I even give them points for him stretching his finger out and breaking the glass. I thought it kind of explained the hand movement thing that he does when he runs. I
Well,
love,
they fixed the running thing in the ending. Remember that
yes,
Oh
that's
they,
what
God!
And that
yes,
Oh
they
cheeky
they
God.
did.
fixed
gazelle
that.
thing that he
Yeah, they
did.
fixed that and they don't show him actually. They don't show his legs.
Ye- right? I love that his sneakers exploded. I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
But here's the thing for me. When he gets to saving Iris, her facial expression spoils the entire scene for me because she looks so calm. I just hit a,
Oh,
I'm
I
sorry.
got you.
I
I got
just hit
you.
a fucking truck. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I mean, I just crashed into a truck. That is not. I'm not gonna look calm and serene, and it's
And
so
so
weird.
gorgeous.
And so gorgeous. She doesn't look surprised even after he catches her. Even
It's very
after it ends,
so much
she
damsel
looks at
energy.
him more like if she just tripped on the sidewalk in a rom com and he catches her instead of
It's oh,
there's no what the hell just happened expression on her face, which
uh,
amazes me. How do you look so calm in a moment like that?
it's it's very much like it's very damsel. It's just like, oh,
Yes,
I've hit a
there's
truck.
I don't understand. I just her it's just her entire reaction during the crash and after everything has happened. Nobody looks around to see if anybody else is alive or hurt or anything. It's just not normal. So while I love the visuals of what is happening around Flash's speed, and I dig the hot dog thing too, that just brought everything down for me. I went from
Uh,
oh my goodness, this is so cool to what the hell is happening here?
so for my
Right.
what the hell is happening moment was when we had a slow mo of a sesame seed off the guy's hamburger flying towards
Oh
the
yeah, yeah, yeah.
screen.
Yeah, hard.
Yeah. But then that, I still dug the scene. It's one of those moments of wow. We really establishing how fast this guy is, right?
We are establishing the hell out of how fast this guy is.
Yeah, speaking in terms of like character establishment, this is now where we're finally introduced to Victor Stone, right, aka Cyborg, right, fully. And I like that we get this flashback. You finally get to see a majority of the football game, and I love the context of it in terms of, oh well, his mom's there, but his dad Silas wasn't there because he was busy doing work, right? And the subsequent scene with his mom, well, dying in this car crash, and him in a coma, great moment. And even though I felt like Joe Morton's crying wasn't convincing at all, you know what I mean? But I can't knock the guy down because he's a veteran.
Something else I want to mention.
Something kind of off with how he was crying in that scene. But yeah,
there's something else I want to mention. I find the thing, because it's the Snyder take and they say it's his shots. A lot of these shots, a lot of these moments felt like a bad take that they still used.
Yes.
Like, a lot of like bad reading lines in it. And you notice that?
Yeah,
like,
No, I had some gripes with some dialogue.
Right. And I was like, you can just take that over. And I'm like, oh no, you can't take it over. Okay. Stuff like that.
Oh,
right.
right.
No, I did have issues with some dialogue delivery here or there, but yeah.
No, right. I mean, because what happens is this is basically an assembly cut. This is basically the assembly cut of the movie before they could go back and be like, okay, here's some things we need to do. Here's what we can cut out. This is an assembly cut with a score and almost finished special effects. So there's it feels like there's a lot of first takes or scenes that maybe we could have gone back and reshot, or some like other bits. But for the most part, this is an assembly cut. This is an assembly cut.
Yeah. Well, we finally introduced the Commissioner Gordon, played by I was gonna say J.K. Rowling for a sec.
You only J.K. I acknowledge.
Not that bad.
Ow.
Almost did.
J.K. Simmons, the only J.K. I acknowledge.
And I was glad that he came in. I'm glad that they actually kept him in the show. Like I was actually worried that they were gonna remove characters entirely because it didn't fit with the vision, right? The vision. We also, well, I'm not sure if this was in the theatrical cut, but we get more of the Steppenwolf's fight scene with Commander Mirror and Aquaman and
people who had to go. Oh gosh, I was like, oh, she this right? Yes, like
yeah. She probably had to just do she scenes and go. That's how I saw it.
Again, there's a lot of stuff here. She has an accent which she doesn't have any accent. It's so weird. I'm not a fan of the dolphins speak and they can only speak in a bubble. I am not a fan of that at all. And I think the underwater stuff looks very janky.
Right.
Well, it's because it's so damn dark. Like, one of my big problems with the Whedon version is that it's clear that Snyder has decided that important dramatic things all need to happen at night. So Whedon tried to fix it by color correcting everything up to be daytime or more brightly colored, and it looks hideous. And so Snyder's original looks, because it looks better by virtue of the fact it doesn't look like super, super fake. Like, we're not talking like The Hobbit, but it does have the problem where everything is dark and murky. Like, especially after watching and loving Aquaman, one of my big issues with all the underwater stuff in this is that it looks very dark and very murky.
It's very murky, yes.
Yeah, no, murky. And Snyder got it feels like Snyder woke up and got very excited because he realized that the sun doesn't shine underwater as clearly. So he's like, yes, now every underwater scene can look like it's nighttime.
I hated the color of mirrors here. I hated it.
I hated the color of what? Sorry.
I hated the way One sec. I'll just wait there.
Oh, I said I hated the color of Mira's hair. I really hated it.
Oh, right. No, because all the brilliance is gone.
Yeah, it rubbed me the wrong way. And the green, supposed to be a nice, bright jewel green. And it was just like, bleh.
From the Aquaman movie. Yeah. Well, the Aquaman.
I love that color scheme. Yeah.
Right. Something you were saying?
No, I was just saying the way the hair flowed as well in the water. I mean, again, it's like what Ricardo was saying. If we got the Aquaman movie first, we wouldn't be having this discussion probably. Yeah. But you tend to you are comparing it because you have all this information in your head, and it's like, nah, I don't like how this looks, and I don't like how this flows, and I don't like how that scene looked, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I
messes up
exactly.
the
did I
timeline.
did
Yeah.
like the fight scene between Aquaman and Steppenwolf being a bit more fleshed out. I did
Mhm.
dig
Right.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, if it's one thing Snyder will do the best he can do, it's action scenes, right? With the exception of the Batman v Superman fight, right? But whatever.
The
Uh,
things that annoyed me with that just a little bit. Well, I mean, I will throw this out there. That whole dolphin speak thing is this kind of reminds me of Splash, Tom Hanks, and
Yes,
Oh,
I can't
oh,
yes.
and
yeah.
remember
Daryl
seeing
Hannah.
her.
And
My
Daryl
Daryl
read
Hannah.
is
Yeah,
yeah.
and then it goes into a whole sequence. But the heist for me, because when you guys were talking about the accent, that I remember sitting and watching that and I was like, "Girl, you are not Princess Leia," because I remember Carrie talking about it. She's talking about, she's trying to, because Peter Cushing is there and she wants to impress him and she's talking to him. So you realize that when she first meets Vader, there is that full British
Yes,
accent that
yes.
slowly devolves into, well, Leia. And I'm sitting there watching Amber do this quasi British something that is neither here nor there, and I'm like, this is. I'm glad that when Joss did her scenes over, I'm not hearing that British thing. And then when,
No.
of course, James comes in and does Aquaman, it's just her voice, which I feel
Yeah.
is like, it's enough. I don't necessarily need that. My heights with that whole, like, watching that entire underwater scene is like Volko and his 80s ish, 80s early 90s California hair. I was
Yeah,
like, okay,
someone
Yeah, I didn't like that
this
either.
that was the thing. That was the heist for me. Because again, I've seen this, I've watched this a few times. So for me, like, it was just like to see how they expanded or what they cut, as opposed to, because I already resolved in my head, okay, it's Snyder, so we're going back to the color grading that he likes to live with. So I was like, okay,
Everything's
fine, let's,
brown.
yeah.
everything brown.
Wearing
Everything,
shades of
Right.
brown.
Yeah, shades of brownness. Lol. All
everything
right,
is black.
so part 4, change machine, right? At first I was like, all right, change machine, but they actually see what it is, right? It's a line that Cyborg says when he brings up how the box of men was
Yeah.
originally in the hands of the Nazis and how it eventually got
Oh
into
god.
Star Labs and
Yeah.
pretty much revived
Right.
Victor,
Yeah,
right?
straight up do the Captain America plot line.
Yes.
I
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
I was
And
like,
of course, with the
why
little
do we
readers,
have
the
to bring
lost acting with taking this thing and putting it in a box and storing it away. You know what I mean? So nobody could ever gain access to it. That kind of vibe now.
Why?
Um,
Why the
yeah, go on.
Nazis? Why do we have to bring Nazis into this again?
You know,
Hmm.
why
This
not?
movie is this movie
Look,
is stuffed and jam packed enough. We don't need Nazis.
look, it's 4 hours, right? So I don't think this was in the original cut though, but I believe this is probably for the first time ever the anti-life equation is brought into this though.
This is so stupid. I mean, it is
Oh,
unbelievable that they decided to do that nonsense. Because again, this is that. Remember what we mentioned? White is that you're trying to do the Snyderverse. He clearly kind of inclined towards our sequel, right? Like, why do this? This is so bad. I hate it.
Yeah, and I know, but here's the thing, right? Like they try to see it in this very simple, in very simplistic way, right? But I mean, if you've seen numerous cartoons and films
Yes.
with Superman and his
It's
anti-life equation, you
it's
know
making
that's simple,
it's making that same mistake of you assuming you know what that is.
right?
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah,
Absolutely. Yes.
yeah,
And
Or
why
assuming
does everything have to be on Earth? Oh my God, it does not make sense.
Yeah, even Avengers do that bullshit.
everything.
Evil alien thing to somehow find its way to Earth.
Yeah.
yeah. And the whole idea is that basically the anti-life equation is on Earth. So once we have the 3 mother boxes, we basically just set a bonfire to planet Earth, basically, and it will reveal itself. That's basically the plan, right?
It's a way
But
to raise the stakes that's completely unnecessary. Like the stakes were already pretty high. The entire
Yes.
fate of the planet was at stake. Why do we need
Yeah.
to raise it even further and be like the anti-life equation is on Earth? So if we fail, it's not just Earth; it's the whole universe. And I'm like,
Yeah.
wasn't all life on the planet being wiped out
Anyway.
already
Yeah.
high stakes enough?
Yeah.
anyway, right? We get a scene, right? Well, I forgot to mention. Yes, Lewis is in the movie. It's kind of those things you kind of forget because with
You
the
just
little
said it. You
that she's
just said
given,
it right there. I
There you
forgot to
go.
mention.
yeah, she's in it, right?
It
And
that's perfectly said.
Yeah, and yes, she's still mourning the loss of Clark, right? We know,
Oh,
right?
he does in this
But
movie.
but I was there
All right,
watching,
so
to be
we get
honest.
it. We get it to two points in this that really kind of piss me off when I think about it.
Mhm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I know you get it,
get-
right?
we
But
get- we get it.
yeah. So I'm there like, all right. I know that this series, these trilogy of films couldn't really find anything for poor, lovely Amy Adams to do, right?
God.
Especially that god awful scene of her throwing the kryptonite spear and then
Oh,
having to go back into,
You don't mention that bullshit.
yeah.
Huh?
Let's start, right?
Horrible.
Yeah.
Ricardo,
So-
you sounded dangerous.
Right. So here's what, right? We Martha Ken shows up, right? And it's a really nice moment.
Oh,
I mean,
God.
don't mind, the shadowy, visuals, but still a great conversation scene. I talk about dialogue, right? You can nitpick visuals as much as you want to. Well, it's so dark, it's so bleak. I looking at what's being said, right?
That's not one nitpicking though, but go ahead.
Great,
Go ahead.
great lines and stuff like that, right? No. Here's the thing, right? I see why this character that we're gonna bring up in a minute shows back up in the end, right? I get. My thought is, why not have that character show up in the end? Period. Just have this character show up there, not here, right?
Yep.
This would happen to be General Hadass, I forget his name, character, right? From
Swalwell.
Man Steel.
Swalwell, I want to say.
Right.
I-
The general guy from the previous films, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Whoever.
I'm trying to remember if I believe this was it was either a fan theory or some news that you were saying.
It was a
well,
fan theory.
right.
It was
It's
a
going
fan
to be,
theory.
Yeah.
or I think it was either that it was going to be in the next film. He is going to reveal himself as, and we see
Right.
it here, Martian Manhunter. Do
Right.
what? Because as much as a laying
Throws
things like it,
themselves out a window.
what I didn't like about this scene, though, it's very sloppy, it's poorly done, is why would you, like, for one thing, you leave the woman apartment, right? Then you turn into Martian Manhunter, right? And I imagine this is the moment where DC fanboys and girls supposed to jizz themselves, right? This is
Right.
clearly why it's there, right? But then why have him turn back to General Hadass? And sorry, why have him say a line and then turn into General? No, why have him turn to General Hadass, say a line, just arbitrarily, and then walk out? I think it's
I'm
something
gonna
about
beat that.
Okay,
Clark,
so
like,
I'm gonna
here's-
read that.
something along that
Why
line.
Right.
Like it was just like
throw it?
I get the intent of the scene, I get the intent of it, but just poor execution.
Intent, you get the intent of it, then you beat me, Matthew, because it makes no sense to me
No, it-
why he would go
He's
to Lois.
No,
Why?
Well, here's the
Okay.
scene.
Explain it, please.
hello.
Please.
Hello, before we continue, it makes the previous movies worse. Right?
Tell us why.
Yeah,
Tell us
but-
why.
Here's why. Where was he helping out against Zod? He couldn't help out against Zod?
Not at
He couldn't
all.
help
Good point.
out, he couldn't
Good
help
point.
out
Good
against
point.
Doomsday?
Because when I think the Martian Manhunter, I think someone who's going to look out the window at Superman fighting Zod and all his armies by himself and go, "This is fine." That's
You know?
that
Hello,
just
he was right there. He in the military. He's right there. He can help out against Doomsday. He can help out against He can help. Okay, remember he was part of the big mystery bullet plotline that Lois was
Yeah.
investigating. So
Yeah.
wait.
BVS.
You're trying to tell me that he couldn't like read Lex's mind and sort that shit out immediately, dude.
Hmm.
No,
This
no,
makes-
like
Oh my
I-
gosh, this is so stupid.
here's the thing, and it's the thing. Here's the thing. I like Martian Manhunter is one of my favorite superheroes.
Yeah, he's the
And-
best Justice League member.
And my
Yeah.
oh hell yeah, here we go. But like, and the thing that infuriates me about this is that this feels like Snyder and a certain co-writer I'm going to get to in a minute,
Yeah, you know.
kind of
know
saying,
it.
yeah, we know in the original Justice League the lineup was all these other people in the Martian Manhunter, and now we're doing Cyborg, but here's a little nod to the Martian Manhunter. But
Okay.
it doesn't feel like, because again, I'm sorry, I am very sorry, I am not a conspiracy theorist, but I do not believe Zack Snyder when he tells us that he had intended that general to be
Yeah.
the Martian Manhunter. The whole
Total afterthought.
I
Total
I
don't
don't know.
believe it. I do not believe it.
Yeah, it's a
Especially
complete
since,
afterthought.
especially since we haven't discussed this. The co-writer of this delightful work of cinema is Chris Terrio, who wrote another movie that
Everybody
I'm.
hates Chris.
Everybody hates Chris. Why? Because he wrote Rise of Skywalker,
Jeez.
which
Bum
makes
bum bum.
too much sense. Like when you start looking at the fan service in Rise of Skywalker and the fan service in the Snyder cut, suddenly it makes too much sense. The Martian Manhunter has about as much impact as Maz, what's her name, giving Chewie that medal, or like that's the kind of fans, or Wicket looking on at the events at the very end. It's the same kind of hollow, blank fan service that actually means nothing, and it's only there so someone who recognizes it can go, oh, I understood that reference. Like, come on. If he doesn't fit, like, I'm sorry, I love the Martian Manhunter.
Yeah.
But he should have been left on the cutting room floor. He doesn't fit.
To all the potential idiots that are probably go say something like, oh, well, he couldn't fight Zod because Zod have heat vision and the Martian Manhunter weakness is fire or something like that. I was like, it's a big city that was collapsing around them and you could fly around and save people still. You don't have to necessarily fight Zod. Just go and save some people because a lot of people has died. Like the Catholic guy in Batman v Superman or whoever. Right? Yeah. Nonsense.
Yeah.
Total nonsense.
All right. Part 5. All the King's Horses, right? This is the moment which, admittedly, when I first saw the theatrical cut, I was not the biggest fan of basically, we're going to use the box of men basically to resurrect Clark. I just never liked that idea. I felt that it should have just stuck more to the source material, but here, like even from where part 4 ends, they really go out of the way to make it plausible. But I was like, you know what? If this is really well they want to do, okay, all right, well, okay. If this has to be, because really in my head I thought that this was a Whedon moment. Sorry, I thought
Me
that was
too.
something that he put in.
This is a Whedon idea.
But I was like, all right, so we doing this still. Oh, okay. Still, I still don't like it, but all right, go on, right? And I'm not sure if they did it in the original film, but essentially they had to break into Star Labs and go into Clark's ship because Star Labs have it and all that stuff. Okay,
They extended the sequence and made it part of Cyborg's arc with the father.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Now here's my thing with that entire sequence between the 2017 and this version.
Uh-huh.
There was something about the 2017 leading up to the rise of the return of Superman, the resurrection of Superman. That's sort of like when I saw Wonder Woman 1984, and basically Wonder Woman 1984, it made sense to me. Having had that pulled out, and I'll give you all what that is, having had that pulled out, it changed the dynamic a little bit. So when Diana is talking with Bruce, and they're having that argument in the thing. Besides the fact that I wish that they had kept the part where Diana, pushed Bruce, against the wall, because I thought that was brilliant.
That was a good
thing. I really love that. So the thing for me is, like Diana said, you don't know what's going to happen when you bring somebody back from the dead. Things change. They might not be the same person. And even Arthur himself was talking about the idea that you lose something in your soul. Now, when you go and you watch Wonder Woman 1984. And the consequences she had with her wish of bringing Steve back and the whole body swap and everything like that.
Right.
There were things about that sort of, okay, so if what we're saying, that kind of retroactively fits into it, because she know what it's like to bring somebody, quote unquote, back from the dead, and this is now a thing. So now you have in the 2021 jail where it's like there's no real argument in terms of, okay, we need to bring him back or we shouldn't bring him back. It's the idea of, it's only Arthur who's like, all right, no, this is actually bonkers. And all of them just going along with it. It causes something to be lost to some of the other films that are there.
Yeah. Well, and it also, and I'm gonna leave this to other people to expand on, but this goes back to the larger problem of the way this movie treats Superman. Because in Zack Snyder's Justice League, Superman is not a character. He's not a person. He is not a beacon of hope. He is barely in the movie, yeah, but even when he's in the movie, he's not a character. He's not a person. You know what he is? He's a plot device. Superman is the weapon that our real heroes need so that they can defeat the bad guy in the third act.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
And is that when I realized that was the moment where I'm like, oh God, how much more movie do I have left? I want this to be done. Because now I felt horrible. Like that was a gut punch.
It's well, much like with the Whedon version, it still undermines the narrative about and then at the end of Batman v Superman, he was like showing signs of coming back on his own. And I felt you already had a good plot device involved with Superman, which is the Codex. What happened to that?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the thing you use to bring back Superman. Again, this is all Monday morning quarterbacking because my attitude, I had a bunch of different ideas of what you could do. Even if you're killing Superman, which is a terrible idea, you could still do something really interesting with it. But it didn't. So whatever.
Yeah. All right, so just to wrap up this part here, so basically you all know what happened. Superman is reborn, and he doesn't know what's going on. He does the thing with Flash, he does the thing with Wonder Woman. You all saw it before; it's still there. Lois comes, and it's like remember me and all that kind of stuff, and they fly off it. Same old, right? Then afterwards, Steppenwolf comes in trying to steal the final mother box, and Silas, I don't know if this was in the film, but Silas killed. Okay. Like activates the beam that was, pointed at the mother box, and it just, this is ricocheting, and he ends up getting disintegrated. Which at first I was like, but why would you do this? But then, letting it slide, even though it cannot make any sense. The idea was, you have to heat it, and once you pick up on the thermal signature, you can find where the others are, that kind of thing. Yeah,
Mhm.
but all right, like. Okay, so you wanted Silas out of the picture so Victor could be motivated to do the right thing, right? But they could have done this in a much better way, Dred. You know what I mean?
Well,
But that's what they do. Okay, all right.
Well, it's even more insidious than that because it's literally his redemptive death. Like literally, Silas, like we established throughout the entire film, and again, you want something to handle this better? Oh my God, go watch Doom Patrol. But Silas's whole thing in this is that he's been a terrible father to Victor. And he has been. Like I don't care about the tape at the very end. He's been a terrible father to Victor the whole time. So rather than have him actually do any kind of work to like be a better person, we just go again back to Snyder. Glorious death is the best we can expect. And of course, he has a juvenile understanding that if you die gloriously, it redeems you of all the shit you did in life. So we give him a glorious death to redeem the fact he was a terrible father. And now Victor gets to feel sad about it. And I hate it so much. I hate redemptive death can be done well. I will always point to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 as the way to do right.
Yeah.
But good Lord, this is how you do it. This feels like a cop-out. It feels like an excuse. It feels like, yeah, he's pretty shitty, but he died gloriously trying to save them, so that makes him better now, I guess. And I'm over it. I'm over it.
We're almost done, Cece. Don't worry. You could take your tablets, your medicine after this, right? For that headache of yours. All right. So now we get to the final chapter. Well, technically final part and then the epilogue, right? It's called Something Darker, right? We get what I believe is a new scene of Clark and Lois. So no mustache gate in this one. So that's great. And for me, I felt that this, like, just visually, emotional wise, it's a drastic improvement over what we got with the theatrical cut, right?
It's
No
not new, but
weird
it's
smile
up.
to throw us off, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So of course, as we know, the heroes going out to stop Steppenwolf. Steppenwolf joins the Boxers to form a unity. In between that, now, well, we see Clark going into the ship, which wasn't in the original version, I believe. And here's the thing. Don't fight me down on this, right? CC, don't fight me down, right? Sorry for making it out, right?
I'm taking
the moment. All right. So say what you want about, the suit that he chooses, right?
Oh,
But
God.
I do give credit where credit is due, though. I like where we finally hear more of Hans Zimmer's score here, and I won't lie, even though the suit, I'll talk about the suit in a bit, right? I do
Yes.
just really appreciate that moment where he flies off and you're hearing that triumphant theme song, you know what I mean, from Man of Steel. I got chills when I saw that. I wouldn't lie, right? Now, I am not even going to spend time debating the decision as to why Superman should wear the black suit. Like I believe like people come and say,
Well, that
well, it's
ticked me
supposed to
off.
represent rebirth and he can't look the same way as he did in the first two movies. Okay.
Why
But
not?
I just saw it as all
Fan
right.
service.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right, exactly.
Here's
Yeah,
the thing.
fun to,
Here's the thing with the
but
black
one
suit
I
thing,
second,
I
right?
don't know.
before I
The
wrap up,
black,
I
the
felt
black
like I
suit
got
has a
kicked
lot
let
in
me
the
more
wrap up. Let me
guts
wrap
when I
up.
meaning
saw
One
that
to
second.
it.
suit.
Let me wrap up. So I was like, okay, this is your decision. Fine, go ahead, do your thing. Moving on. Right, Ricardo.
So here's the thing with the black suit thing, right? Why they hype this as this a big deal? We already know what the black suit looks like from Man of Steel. We saw it
Yes.
in the weird little Torchasm vote dream sequence now. Like,
Yes.
why? So why was this big hype as if, this part of the whole Snyder cut astroturfing kind of thing? Like, you do the black suit is like, yeah, we already saw the black suit. Stop making it a thing. Whatever.
Right.
Uh,
Alice, any
Mhm.
thoughts on the black suit, the soon to be
Well,
controversial or already controversial black suit?
already
well,
controversial.
like I said, when I saw him come out and you hear the triumphant Hans Zimmer thing, and then I saw the suit was black, I felt like I got gut punched because I was like, why again is Snyder making my favorite superhero? Okay, so the name of the chapter is something darker, right? Okay, so what are you
I,
trying
I
to
don't
say?
think I don't think it's meant to represent the suit. Like I don't
No,
think
no,
they
not the
talking
suit.
about
Oh,
the
Don't
I
suit.
get me
think it
wrong.
does.
Don't get me wrong,
And
but
it's
as a
it's a
connection.
yeah, it's a theme, but you're showing the thing that's the theme. Yeah, normal bullshit. And it's
Yeah,
Snyder, so Snyder's as subtle as a Mack trucker. So well,
exactly. So what you're trying to tell me, and then you have the nightmare sequence, and it's like, so what you're trying to tell me that no matter what anybody do, you're just gonna turn my boy into this darker, cynical version of what he's supposed to be.
Yep.
A superhero that's supposed to represent hope. You're wearing a symbol that is basically hope in Kryptonian,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Especially
it, yeah. Sorry, Cece. Go
Well,
ahead.
especially since the only time, because we do see the classic suit again, technically, in
But
the
in the
night.
wrong place. Yeah.
So, like, when evil him wears the classic suit, and good him wears the black suit,
Yeah,
and
it makes no sense, right?
But
it
here's,
doesn't.
here's, the, here's the thing for me on the black suit. I have no issue with the black suit. I have an issue with the fact that it's just stuck in there. And the reason, because in the comic books with the death of Superman, when he came back, he was a very different person. It's like Diana said, he did not just come back as all everything is all right and rain. He came back and recognized the fact that there were these men that had basically incorporated his symbol, and he didn't know if any of them was worthy of it. And there was some anger there, and there was a lot of, there's a lot going on. And in the comics, the black suit is actually working to continually regenerate him because
yeah,
he's
it's a
not
solar
a
suit.
full. Yeah, it's a solar suit.
Right.
It looks a bit different as well, and it's a solar suit that is working to continually heal him
And I
while
still
he's
mad.
not
And I
yet.
still mad.
A recovery, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, while he's still recovering, but there's no explanation for it here. It's just fan service. It's
And
We
just
this,
see him.
let's
That
We
is
see
the
this
give him
one
problem I
back.
shot.
have.
We see this one shot where he fly up to the sun now to like recharge faster
Oh
or
my
something
God!
like that,
Yes,
Yes.
Christ,
or something
Christ.
like that. Yeah.
Here we go.
well, I
Yes.
mean, first of all, it's Snyder. So where Zack is concerned and religion is concerned, Zack has always, like, okay, you watch Man of Steel and he's kneeling down talking to the priest, and there's a shot of Christ,
Right in.
Yeah.
right there in
Yeah.
Garden of Gethsemane. The idea for me, like when at the beginning where of this movie, where Clark Superman does that whole scream before he dies. That is clearly it is finished and the temple is rent in twain and the death of Christ. That whole end of the Book of Matthew kind of something. So we know where he goes where religion is concerned. So for me, it's like, okay, I get it. It's your version of, I guess, a more cynical God. Fine. My heights here is like I was down with the black suit. I didn't have a problem with the black suit. I liked the idea of, okay, so he's inside of the ship and all the different suits, like it opens up to him. What I would have loved was a little explanation, it may be to the person or persons who doesn't understand or who has not read or, has never seen any of the lore like we have.
Yeah.
Why he opted into wearing the black suit. There's not even
Exactly.
like a,
It's a
Yes,
missed
that's
opportunity.
what I'm saying.
there's
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
not even anything like okay,
It's
like
like
when
it-
Bruce sees him,
Yeah.
like there's nothing like when Bruce sees him, even if it was just a little line that says love the new suit, and then he gives a response and say, yeah,
But
it
that's
keeps
the
me
thing.
whole. Just
Yeah.
a line to sort of tie that. But for me, I was down with the suit. I was like, okay, cool.
Well, another thing that annoys me is that we still ain't get no mullet, so that's a whole thing.
Nah. Yeah.
Like, we
Well, you
are
get it in
Yeah.
Volco, so you get it in Volco, you didn't get it in
Yeah, for real.
So,
Right,
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Volko
So-
stole his mullet. Release the mullet cut.
Well,
Right,
I don't know.
so-
I just
go on.
felt that they removed all the hope of his rebirth by putting on that suit. I thought it was totally unnecessary,
They did.
and I thought they should have just brought out his original suit and be like, yes, we see the red cape flying again. Oh my gosh, my superhero is back from the dead, kind of thing. I just missed that whole thing. I felt like somebody just threw a wet blanket on me, and the hype that I should be feeling and the joy that I should be feeling at seeing him fly again and he's gonna help the team beat up the bad guy. I
Yeah.
just didn't get it.
Yeah.
I didn't
Well,
get it.
because
So,
yeah, and again, there's no room for hope in a Zack Snyder movie.
exactly.
Like so of course he has to die. Of course he has to come back from the dead and put on the black suit because like the other one is like a symbol of hope. Hope is for babies. Here's a black one like Batman.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
All right, so that's just running through quickly the that scene, right? That final part, sorry. So
Yeah.
yes, you get the fight, the same stuff, with Batman driving through the streets and blasting parademons. They actually cut out Ada's "yeah" line. Like at first I was
course they
watching,
did.
I
They
like,
did that? They
wait,
did
did
cut
I
it off?
miss
They
it?
did.
They did.
They
The
did.
moment
Wow.
where
I
Ada jumps
saw I
on.
missed
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
We
when he
got
jumps on the
Batman.
Batcar, the Batmobile, sorry, he does not say "yeah." I
Right.
rewinded. I was like, but wait, no, did he say it? It's like, no, he didn't.
Wow.
Mm-mm.
So okay, once again. So pretty much everything that we saw there. There's a moment which I believe wasn't in the film where you see, the portal, because there was also hinted at this portal thing that Steppenwolf has. And you see Darkseid, you see this character named Desaad, who I'm not
Desaad,
familiar
yeah.
with. I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah, I
And-
know all of them.
and
Granny
Granny-
Yeah, I
Goodness, all
know
of them.
them.
And Granny
Yeah.
Goodness.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah, yeah, Granny
And
Goodness.
that's another wasted opportunity because I don't know any of these. You don't know any of these people. And it's like, yeah, well, you're clearly leading to a sequel, right? But
Right.
we're not
Well,
going to see a sequel.
that's
Granny
why
Goodness doesn't even get a
that's
line.
why it's there in the first place. That's why it's there. But I
Yeah.
would have done without the Granny Goodness though, because now you have people wondering, okay, so who is he? Is it sorry, who is she? Is she Darkseid's wife or something? Who is
No,
this?
no.
Who's this character?
She's like a
No,
matriarch.
I know
Right.
who she is. I'm talking about for people who
Right,
don't
right,
know
right, right.
story.
True.
Right.
I have a
Yeah.
fantasy of having Helen Mirren be Granny Goodness.
Oh,
For real.
That would legitimately be my
I
dream
think
casting.
she's way too old and way too dignified.
No,
Perfect
I
age.
just
Perfect age,
Not at
yeah.
all. I
She
think
would-
Judy Dench too would kill Granny
Right.
Goodness.
I'm waiting to see the Ava DuVernay Tom King New Gods film whensoever it comes out, and I really like that's my dream cast to have Helen Mirren come and play the Granny for this in that film. Now there's me joy.
Yeah.
That'd be so good.
All right, moving on now. So we have a moment now. Well, basically with Cyborg, and as he's like trying to more or less trying to break the unity basically of the three boxes. He has this sort of like nightmare night KNIGHT of his own, which is you see him as a looking normal and his family, and it's basically like this temptation thing that the well, I guess the spirit thingies, because they don't really establish that. They just kind of hinted
Right, it's
in the
kinda
boxes,
witches
trying,
thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
witches, right, basically trying to take him over, and he was able
Which,
to
by
stop
the
them.
way, it's not cutting you off, Matthew, but it
Uh-huh.
didn't make sense to me that it was that because we were told, I think it's Wonder Woman told him that the boxes will find your deepest fear and it will
Yes,
play
yes.
on that. That wasn't fear. That was temptation. That was
Mhm.
something
That
different.
was your
So
greatest
it,
desire.
it, it threw me off because I thought it would have been more guilt based stuff and thing to mess with
Right.
his head, you know?
I didn't think about that, to be honest. I did
Well,
not
no,
think
it
Yeah.
about
would have
that, to be honest.
been more accurate if he'd walked up to Cyborg and say, "I'll give you a clue. And a perfectly happy man would look into the mother boxes and see himself exactly as he is."
Yeah. Well, with Flash though, we get what how I see it, like the first sort of like hint or introduction basically to what would become hopefully the Flashpoint paradox. But they hinted at it from early on with
Right.
especially with the scene
Yeah.
with Bruce training Batarang, and then the scene rewound. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'll watch it now. I was like, wait, was that in the movie where it rewound and then started back? But yeah, like basically he's basically running past the speed of speed of light, and just time is being
Yeah, he
rewound.
does warn them to when I think when they were reviving Clark too, he does say, I shouldn't be doing this. Like I really,
It messes with time,
um,
yeah.
yeah, it messes with time. I don't think he said it messes with time, but he did kind of say like, this is a rule that I don't break kind of thing,
Right.
you
Yeah,
know?
I think it was that
So
one of those I won't break that rule kind of thing, right?
yeah,
Now I'll see this, right? Like, yes, I mean the visuals aren't perfect, right? I mean, just
I
saying,
liked
right?
it too. I
But
did like
visually
it.
wise, though,
Oh,
I dug this scene though. Like
I did too.
it was just how
it
fully
was.
realized and unique it was though, and it was just like
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is this is as close as to once again it's just like a little introduction to the Flashpoint paradox. So, but it's such a spectacular scene. It's such a very emotionally moving scene. I was like, yeah, I really really digging this, man. This is really really good, man.
This is what
Um,
about Snyder being
yeah,
a formalist is that what works with this scene is he tells it visually. Like we literally have Barry Allen trying to like as it almost feels like he's outrunning the apocalypse because like as he runs back through
Yeah.
time on doing it's like it's trying to chase him, right? And
Mhm.
and visually this is what I will always say about Snyder is that because he's more interested in visual storytelling and he's not as good with like dialogue because he's as good with it's a very striking visual and a lot of the Flash's powers are best told through visuals, so it does give you a really cool image, especially the one where he like races up to the mother box and like as
I,
Cyborg is holding it and like undoes the explosion and like you see Cyborg's
yeah.
skin like
And
return
Superman
to
as
his
well. You see them returning. Yeah.
yeah
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's,
yeah,
really
yeah,
great.
right.
I mean,
And
Doctor Strange kind of did it, but yeah, whatever.
right. And as for Steppenwolf, Aquaman stabs him with the trident. Superman
Mhm.
punches him. I believe is not
Oh,
uppercut, but just
God.
punches him. And
Superman
okay,
Superman
now
takes
go on.
Yeah.
Superman takes uncharacteristic glee
Oh
in
yeah.
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 Well,
It
pummeling him.
Again. Yeah.
again, I froze a bit at it. I was like cringing and I kept waiting for the others to say something and they never
Oh,
did.
like
why
he
did he
genuinely
look so sadistic?
All right,
he
but here's the
oh
thing
he's
though.
enjoying it. He's
Yes.
on top and he's like beating the crap out of him and using his which remember Ricardo was talking about it makes the previous movies worse. Here's another
Yeah.
moment like that because the big argument a lot of Snyder fans made about the scene in Man of Steel where he kills Zod is well, this was the moment where he made the decision never to do that again. Like he
Thank
would
you.
never be
Yep.
that vicious again. Like that was the argument everyone tried to
Yeah.
Yeah,
make,
yeah.
right? This doesn't work. Like that now it's like, well, that argument doesn't work because clearly, like, yeah, he didn't kill him, but that was but
And
Superman could have dealt with it in such a less sadistic manner.
and
There
the thing
is
is
a
too, sorry, Tracy.
okay, good.
The camera pans to Wonder Woman's face, so I thought she was gonna say something like his name or something, to give him
Yeah.
pause. But
Yeah.
it
Right?
doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. Okay.
I remember. Here's my. This is not a justification, but this is why it didn't really bother me. There is a scene in Bruce Timm's animated Superman. It's the end of the Justice League series, and
Right.
so Darkseid is there, and Superman explains. Now, of course,
Yes,
this
I
is. I mean,
remember
we've
this.
gotten a chance to actually hear Superman explaining all of
What
it, which obviously Zach
What?
a
would
moment
not
Yeah,
for me
do.
to cut loose here. The cut loose
But
yeah.
yeah,
moment.
so
The Cutlass
he
line. Yes.
gives yeah he gives the idea that he's living in a world. He actually says that he's living in a world with people made of paper. So he has to be very careful as to how he operates and that kind of stuff. But you, big man, what we have here is an opportunity for me to let loose and show people who I really am, and the fact that it's stuck in my brain. But that for me, so the idea he knows that like in my mind, I figure like he knows Steppenwolf can take it and he can actually be able to let loose. Because I feel like a Superman character in whatever iteration you have is someone who also kind of tiptoes around the people and the earth he is. He is, Clark. Bruce has said it a few times that he is, in fact, a god. And if he is, well, he's like a god, except that he doesn't lord it over us. He doesn't, at any point in time use it against us. So he's sort of tiptoes. So where you have a character like Steppenwolf who comes in and just like wants to wreck everything, let him have it and be done with so that we can move on. That for me was my thing. I didn't really
And I
think
get
that's
Well, well. Here's the thing. You're
like there,
you're you're digging the
there.
horrors about Superman, though. I thought you. Well, I was just about to mention Wonder Woman and her,
Yeah.
Oh God!
literally chopping
Well,
Okay.
homeboy's
I
head
was
off.
waiting for you
So,
to bring
Which
it up.
um, which I will like. Look, badass. But
okay. So
it's
here's the
so
thing.
It
anti
horrified
Wonder
me.
So
Woman, though.
here's the
That's what I was
thing.
saying.
Here's the difference, Matthew. And this is where, I'm dipping into my love of comic books and this character. Wonder Woman, when it comes to fighting human characters, she holds back.
Right.
She will break bones, but she will not kill. When she fights mythological characters, she lets loose.
Yeah.
And especially if it's a case of, hey, before that, he had been taunting her. I killed your mother. Where were you for your sisters?
Right.
This
I
and
can
that
really
and the other.
I can follow
So
why Steppenwolf was like making a big deal about Amazons
I
over
couldn't,
other
I
people.
didn't get
Couldn't
that
follow.
either.
Yeah.
It was almost like he was in love with her or something. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, but when she cut his head off, Matt, I was totally comfortable with that because that is the Wonder Woman I know. When
Right.
it comes to beings like that, she will kill. And she says it in the comics, she says it in the DC cartoons. She does not hold back when it comes to creatures like that. So that is why that did not bother me.
the Jeff Loeb,
Right.
Ed McGuinness book, the Supergirl book. There's a line, Superman, Batman, Supergirl. There's a line where they're on Themyscira. Kara is getting trained and all that kind of stuff, and she tells Bruce and Clark, because they're the only men on the island. She tells them there is a reason why my rogue gallery is a lot less
Yes.
shorter than
Yes,
yours
I
or
remember
Clark's.
that. I
And
remember that.
Yeah.
this kind of reminds me, this conversation reminds me a little bit of like in the comics, which is why I thought she was going to kill Max Lord in 1984, because there is a thing in the comics where Max Lord, he uses his powers, his psychic powers, his whatever powers, and to try and end the battle and everything like that. Diana actually kills Maxwell Lord. So there are moments where Diana will like make a fatality, like end
Yeah.
this end this whole scene entirely. But for an otherworldly character, like even in Batman vs Superman, she was having fun slicing, Doomsday.
Doomsday. Yes. Yeah.
So that whole slicing of the head thing and throwing it, back into the boom tube, that for me was like, okay,
Well, correction. She doesn't throw the head. It's
what
when
was it?
the
She
head
slices
more or
it
less slides off when
And
he
yeah.
right into
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
great. There you go. 10
And
points.
well,
So, yeah.
you could say his dark side finish him off.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Dark side, who
Dark
has
He
side
ba-
no,
is
basically
no
got
time.
the Mortal Kombat fatality combo thing
yeah.
going on here.
Dark
Dark
side
Side's Lord, I've been enjoying the memes about the Dark Side Steppenwolf relationship because that is legitimate. the kind of like this is my bastard son who I don't care about dynamic
You know?
is actually quite funny.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing is that this kind of thing with Steppenwolf, this Steppenwolf totally different because like he's supposed to be like now like more looking human. With all of this, I couldn't follow that. Like
Yeah,
why
they
they change that? Why make that change is weird because Steppenwolf just supposed to be a guy. He's like there's a kind of tactician type person. The hat
Right.
looks like that,
Yeah.
but like did they make him this weirdo creature? Mutant
yeah.
thing, and like whatever, I don't care.
But
But
wasn't he that
Yeah.
same?
because Calabac is a weirdo. Is Calabac
Yeah.
is the freaky looking
Mm.
one.
Right.
Like,
Instead of looking like one of the trolls from one of the cave trolls from Lord of the Rings wearing a suit of knives.
Right.
And
Mhm.
like, and if you're gonna do that design for Darkseid's people, I'm not gonna like it, but whatever. But then Granny Goodness looks human.
Yes.
Right.
Like, what? And Desaad is also alien. I'm so confused.
I
Right.
will say that I'm a little bit well, not a little, a lot. I'm a lot happier with Steppenwolf's motivation throughout this version of the film.
Right.
I
It's clear.
Agreed.
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
whole idea
Yeah.
of the mother is calling and mother, it's a weird. I mean, it's not accurate, so forgive me, guys. But Oedipus comes into my brain whenever I think about that, which is not necessarily the way it should go. But that 2017 motivation about the mother and mother's calling and I need to be with mother, it's really annoying. So seeing his whole I need to get back into Darkseid's good graces.
Yeah.
I want my
Yeah.
redemption. I want my seat back.
I want to
It's-
go
And they
home.
said,
Yeah, I
they
wanna
said
go
something
home.
like
Yeah.
they said something like he still owed 50,000 worlds. That was
50,000 worlds.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
some thing.
You know, that for me, like I could. It's kind of in a very weird sense. It's kind of like Lucifer trying to get back, you know, into his
Into
quote unquote into heaven, into his father's books, that kind of something. So I was like, I'm down with his motivations as opposed to how it was in 2017. I really couldn't vibe with that.
Yeah.
I was as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, this is Matthew Bailey, and I hope you've enjoyed this segment of the BS Beats and Bailey podcast. If you'd like to hear the full episode, hit up my link tree. On the other side of my head are 2 videos you can check out. Like this video if you like it, feel free to subscribe and hit the bell as well. Thanks for listening, and until the next one, take care. Peace.